It's going to hit go live. Let me, we got to give it a few seconds and
Yep.
let Instagram catch up because
Gotcha.
Instagram takes just a few seconds.
I'll tweet it out.
Go live there. And we are live on Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. Perfect. So welcome in everybody to week 6. Week 6 instant reaction, week 6 night chat. If you saw the tweet, if you didn't see the tweet, programming note, we're starting a little bit earlier. We're starting at 10:30 tonight instead of 11:30, our normally scheduled time, because the Florida State-Miami game is kind of a blowout. And that was the last game we were waiting on from the Core 4. So we figured, let's get an early jump, let's get an early start, and let's go ahead and talk about some of these games. But Drew, there was one game that was not on the Core 4.
And was not on any radar whatsoever.
It was a 24.5 point spread. It was a team that has fired their head coach, their offensive coordinator, their defensive coordinator. And it was a team that was, preseason top 5 national championship odds?
If not 3, top 3, yeah.
I mean, top 3 probably. A lot of people argued should have been the number 1 team.
Sure.
Penn State went out to the Rose Bowl and in front of all 3,000 of UCLA's fans got beat. They got beat. And listen, man, you're going to hear it a lot. You're going to hear a bunch of stuff from a bunch of different people about how James Franklin sucks and Drew Aller sucks. And I'm not going to sit here and necessarily tell you that they're wrong, but I'm going to give you a different approach. I'm going to give you a different angle, because I don't want to just sit here and make fun of James Franklin, because I feel like me personally adequately value James Franklin and Penn State. And I have taken a position of they're not going to until they do, and I'm not going to think they can until they do. That being said, this loss is probably the worst of James Franklin's career at Penn State. Like, this to me is up there with like Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame losing to Marshall in Northern Illinois. Because
Sure.
I know UCLA is technically a Power 4 program, but they fired their head coach, they fired their offensive coordinator, they fired their defensive coordinator. They are a shell of a Power 4 football team. And you go out there and you just drop the ball completely.
Yeah.
I mean, all I want to say, my whole take about this whole thing is, until he hoists the trophy, whether it's Big Ten or a national champion, or, you know what? Until it's like February and it's been a month and the trophy's in Happy Valley, I don't want to hear Penn State's going to do this, Penn State should do that, Penn State. I don't want to hear it.
Sure.
Because it's one thing to lose to Oregon at home in a whiteout. It's another thing to take that loss and then travel out to UCLA and more or less lose to a G5 team.
Yeah, and that's what they are, because they had a lot of players transfer and leave after they fired the aforementioned coordinators and head coach. And today was supposed to be a get back on track game for Penn State, which I had said this stat on our podcast on the Friday episode, has still not beaten a Power 4 team, and we are through week 6. So they couldn't even get UCLA, which you're right, is the bare bones of the Power 4 now. And I don't know where they go from here, because one, UCLA's in the Big Ten, so this counts as a conference loss, as goofy as that is, going, UCLA, Penn State, that's goofy.
All that,
sure, super goofy. Send UCLA and all the split Pac-12 teams, send them back to the Pac when they form the Pac-12 Mountain West next year. But the underlying theme here is, it's about to be really hard for Penn State to do anything in the postseason, no matter if they beat Ohio State or if they beat, whomever they decide to beat left on this schedule. They now are in a really, really crappy position.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest with you. I think this loss could keep them out of the playoffs.
That's what I agree because I mean a 10-2 with UCLA. Now, if UCLA rattles off,
even like they still have to play Ohio State.
Yeah,
I'm not giving them that win.
Oh, me neither. By no
like right
means.
now for me, Penn State's 9-3. They're 9-3 because they're going to lose to. They lost to Oregon. They just had like the worst crash out I've ever seen. And then I'm not giving them the Ohio State game.
No,
because it's at Ohio State. That defense looks incredible. I'm not giving them that. So if they're 9-3 with a loss like that, because here's who I'm thinking they're probably going to be paired up against. Is they're probably going to be compared against like some 10-2, 9-3 SEC team. That's who I'm thinking. And or maybe like Notre Dame, 10-2 Notre Dame.
Sure.
And if you're looking at 10-2 Notre Dame, yeah, they don't have like a bona fide guaranteed top 10 great victory to hang their hat on, but neither does Penn State.
No,
if they don't win that Ohio State game, and again, I am basing all of this off of assuming that they are not going to, because I have not seen anything from them that makes me think they're going to beat Ohio State.
Sure.
They're going to be compared against like a 9-3, 10-2, Ole Miss, Georgia, Bama, LSU, somebody of that caliber that's probably going to have Vanderbilt that's going to have significantly more ranked wins.
Sure.
And significantly harder games played because Penn State's just kind of feasted off the bottom of the barrel of the Big Ten. And they're going to get left out.
I think so. I think you're right. And I think now they put themselves in a super uncomfortable position, which is you have to win the Ohio State game. And not only do you have to win the Ohio State game, like if you lose to Oregon and that was your only loss, you can afford to slip up against one of the mid-pack teams in the Big Ten still. And if you beat Ohio State, then, it kind of cancels that out. But this is not the mid-pack of the Big Ten. This is the bottom of the barrel. This is Nico Iamaleava and whoever is left on that UCLA roster. And, I mean, a little bit on the UCLA side here. There's a reason that Nico was listed as a 5-star, and he showed it today. Nico used his legs. He created. He made something from nothing. Penn State was super undisciplined in their rush lanes. Felt like every time you looked up, Nico was going for 15 yards up the field. They don't keep a quarterback spy on him, which after watching him just scamper for about 100 yards, like, all right, keep a quarterback spy on the dude. Like, don't get out of your rush lanes. Like, we know you have the better athletes, but stop overcommitting to this pressure and just sit back and let your superior athletes do the work. And Penn State did not do that.
Yeah, and I think not to we'll talk about the game more. Obviously, it's still going on, but like look what Miami did.
Yeah,
that first drive, Thomas Castellanos was burning them, and then they swapped up what they were doing on defense.
Sure,
and he has not had the same success since, and they've kind of shut down this Florida State offense. Obviously, we'll talk more about that game, but to be taken serious as a national championship contender, like you should be able to take a hard-fought loss, pick yourself back up. I know you got to go all the way across the country, and that makes no sense, but we're not here to hash out, conference realignment and conference issues and things like that. Because it is what it is, and they're on your schedule, and they're coming, or they know you got to go out there. There's just no excuse to go out there and lose this game. And it's great for UCLA, and I don't want to sit here and discount UCLA, and like I don't want to discount what Jerry Neuheisel did, and all the props in the world of them, because they're probably not going to catch a lot of light, because most of what people are doing is going to be what we're doing, sitting here just ripping apart Penn State, because this is just an inexcusable loss. It's just
it is. You're
disgusting, dude. It's just disgusting.
And if you look. I mean, if you watch this game, Penn State has Drew Aller, who coming into the year was touted as maybe a Heisman favorite, but definitely a lock to be a really good Power 5 college football playoff quarterback, and he chose to in all of these games he's chosen to not show up. He's chosen. I think Joseph is unlocking some doors. He's chosen to look bad, and he goes for 200 yards. He has 2 touchdowns. You look at his stats; they don't look that bad. I mean, Aller he just can't push the ball down the field. This Penn State team is just they're not great, man. It's so sad to see. It's sad to see this. You're right. Penn State sits at 0-2 in the Big Ten. They've got a long road ahead of them. And really, the last thing I'll say on this game, because I feel like we're just sitting here just taking shots at a team. I thought they were going to get away with it. I really did. When they blocked the punt, I was like, "Here we go. Here's how they escape this game. Here's how they get out of UCLA with a win." They blocked the punt, and I was thinking, "Man, they don't deserve this whatsoever." Chase said it in our group chat. Don't care what the final score is after this. They deserve half a win, not a full win. And I just, for them not even to be able to get out of there with just a win on their schedule, not a moral victory, inexcusable. You look up and down this roster, there's talent, there's NFL talent everywhere. You got to pull this one out, especially with a block punt, and you draw within 6. And then UCLA's clock management at the end of the game is horrific. I mean, it shows that they've got a first-time head coach over there. It was horrific. You still got 3 timeouts. They go out of the back of the end zone, and it's like, guys, they gave you every chance to win this game. You gave up 42 points. They gave you every chance, and you still couldn't do it. And they stuff them on the 4th and 2 at the goal line, and it's a terrible play call. I do not understand overthinking that with Allard. It's just give the ball to Katron Allen, and get that first down. Jeez. So I'm done. With Penn State. We don't need to talk about them anymore. We'll probably have them on the core 4. We can eviscerate them further then. So
yeah, no, they won't be. And I'm with you. I don't have anything left to say about it because I don't want to sit here and beat a dead horse, because it's going to be a topic all week, and it's going to dominate every other thing. And hopefully, I know we probably didn't do the best job about it, but people need to give credit to UCLA for this. But that's not going to be the narrative. The narrative is going to be Penn State just fumbled this away. And yeah, they probably won't touch the core 4 again until the Ohio State game and maybe Indiana.
Sure.
And I mean, as far as I'm concerned, they could end up 8-4. They could lose both those games.
I'm picking Ohio State and Indiana as we sit right now. So
I have no reason not to. If the Penn State Indiana game is on the core 4, because it might not be, because Indiana plays Oregon next week.
Sure.
At Oregon.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
a lot of season left.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the core 4 games. And brother, let's start with the first one. Bama and Vandy.
Yep.
Give me your thoughts. Give me your feelings. You riled up a lot of people on Twitter this week.
You're not kidding.
A lot of Bama fans on Twitter this week.
Sure.
And I was thinking maybe some of them would come in to see what you had to say. So the floor is yours, brother.
Yeah, man. Pretty simple. I told you when I have a lot to say about a game, sometimes I feel like I don't get to my main point, so I want to get my main point off first. There are no moral victories this year. That was for last year. That was for playing Texas close last year. That was for getting to the 7-6. That's beating Georgia Tech in the Birmingham Bowl. There are no moral victories for the Commodores. If you're going to talk the talk, if you're going to go up and you're going to say, we expect championships, we expect to beat Alabama, then you have to show up in a game like this. And for the first half, was very, very pleased. I was like, man, this Vanderbilt team, although they may not be as talented as Alabama on paper, they belong in this setting. They belong in this game. They belong in every capacity with teams like this. And they come out in the second half. And credit to Ty Simpson and Kalen DeBoer on the end of the half touchdown for the first half, the 2-minute drill, because that won them this game. I can't overstate that enough, because when I saw that, I was like, that's how you lose a Bama game right there. So Diego Pavia was not great in the second half, but I'm going to attribute that mostly to how good Alabama's defense was in the second half and their coverage schemes and the way that they chose to play this Vanderbilt team. They took away all downfield ability for this Vanderbilt team to get those big splash plays that they've relied on so much this year. They come out, they get the Cedric Alexander touchdown. Diego Pavia rips off a big run in the first half. Alabama had seen enough. They completely bared down on all of that. They took away Eli Stowers with with a fury. They had a focus on that man, and I am disappointed in this loss. But if you were going to take a moral victory from this, if you just had to, a interception in the red zone and a fumble in the red zone, you take those off the board, and the Vanderbilt Commodores are in a much different place late in this game, and their defense played phenomenally for how long they had to be on the field. Alabama goes on this long drive to start the fourth quarter, runs it down their throat, and it was just a look of a Vanderbilt team that was tired, and they were already beaten at that point. And that sucks. But now you get out of this game and you lose. It's 30-14. If you didn't watch the game, you're like, oh, 16 point. Well, it's 23-14. You get the Jam Miller touchdown late.
Yeah.
But now I will say, you go into a bye week, you get ready for LSU. I personally still have all belief in this Vanderbilt team to make some real noise late in the season. Mm-hmm. And it starts with LSU. You regroup. You don't go away from Diego Pavia. He didn't have a great game today, and that happens. But you regroup, you get ready, and you beat the next team on your schedule. And again, I'm very curious to hear what you think, because this as somebody that had no, you don't lean one way or another in this game. You're just a college football fan. What did you see in this game? What was it for you? Did I cover everything, or was there something else that stood out for you?
No, I think you covered mostly, because I feel like watching this game, it kind of felt like, for me, for a little bit, Tim Beck was kind of getting the best of Kane Womack early on. And he adjusted well. So I give credit to Kane Womack for doing that. But no, this kind of felt like last week, watching a huge matchup in Georgia-Bama. It felt like watching tonight with Miami and Florida State, where it was like, hey, both these teams could be in this game, but there's just a few key plays that have really turned the tide, no pun intended, turn the tide, right. And given Alabama favor. And it's like you talked about, the turnovers, man. That happens in any big matchup. It didn't feel like Vanderbilt was in this game because of flukiness. It felt like they were in this game, and ultimately they ended up losing because of the reasons people lose football games. You turn the ball over. That happens. You fumble in the red zone. You pick off Ty Simpson once. I know some people might look at that, and
that turnover didn't hurt him. That turnover didn't hurt Bama. I mean, it knocks. Well, it knocks it. I would have kicked the field goal there 100 times out of 100. But besides the point, you're throwing on fourth down, so it's basically an incompletion with a little bit more momentum for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, kind of. Well, an incompletion for Bama would have actually been worse, because it would have given Vanderbilt better field position. So, it sucks to lose points. Obviously, if you're Bama, there you don't ever want to lose points. But yeah, no, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head. I think watching this game, I didn't feel like one of these teams. It didn't feel like every other year I've ever watched Vanderbilt, where it was like, dude, come on, the spread's 35, you're going to win by 50. It feels like Clarkley has put this team into a position where it's, if you don't take this serious, you're going to get whipped.
Yep.
It's not the logo's still the same, and the jerseys look the same, and the helmets look the same. That is not the same Vanderbilt team that was walking out there 3, 4, 5, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was perfect to say that. We have a comment in the Instagram chat from Mike_WHI1. Did Napier save his career today? And if that's anything else you got on the Bama game, because I think that's a good transition.
Let's move on. Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on. I want to give credit. I do want to give credit to Ty Simpson. We said this before we hopped on. Ty Simpson is the best quarterback that Alabama has had since Bryce Young, and you can go ahead and nail that down. I like Jalen Milroe. But quarterback, man, dude, Ty Simpson was out there balling. He made every play. Specifically in my mind, real quick before we get to Texas, Florida, there's a play where Vanderbilt completely blows through the Alabama line of scrimmage. Simpson rolls to his right in the third quarter. They've got him dead to rights. Horton moves up the field just a little bit. Vanderbilt commits on Simpson, and he puts a perfect ball in the chest of Horton.
Was that the touchdown?
No. This was a third down conversion, and I mean, seriously, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, they got him. And they didn't have him. And Simpson made the play. So yeah, that's it. I'm good on that game. I don't want to think about it anymore. I just want to get ready for LSU.
I feel you. And again, I'm with you. I want to give a lot of credit to Ty Simpson because he was great again today. Even with the pick, like to be able to just kind of forget that and move on and play the way he did. He's I wouldn't go as far to say he's the best quarterback in the nation because I'm still on the Dante Moore train.
Sure.
But Ty Simpson's probably a solid number 2 for me. So yeah, he's been
Good
incredible.
Very cool.
But yeah, to address Mike's question, no, I don't think he did. And let me tell you why. Because I was talking to my brother. We were watching this game together. And I told him, I said, man, if Florida goes on and they win this game, it should almost be a further emphasis on why Billy should be fired. Because the first 3 games that they lost was just straight up coaching malpractice. You want me to tell you why? And a big reason why they won the game today? Jaden Ball had 27
I would love to hear
carries.
it. Sure.
Jaden Ball had 27 carries. DJ only threw 28 passes. DJ looked great today. And don't get me wrong, like there were some times he's still not 100%, by the way. DJ's still not 100%. Sure. He's got some issue going on, some lower body. You could see it. In certain drives, he'd be hobbling. But watching this game today, if I'm a Florida fan, yeah, you love the win, but I'm almost more upset because we won this game. I'll give you the Miami game. I don't think you would have won that game regardless because I think Miami's just better than you on the line of scrimmage. That game was at home. But the LSU game, the South Florida game, watching those and then watching what I watched today, it should not have taken you 4 games to figure this out. Give the ball to Jaden Ball. Take pressure off DJ Lagway. He should never throw 50 pass attempts in a game where he's already thrown 3, which ends up being 5 interceptions. No, I don't think he saved his job today. I think they got a great win, and I think it's this Florida team hasn't quit. But if I'm going to be honest with you, man, if I'm a Florida fan, I'm pissed.
Sure.
Because there's no reason you shouldn't be 4-1 right now after you watched what you just watched.
Agreed. And even at a bare minimum 3-2. Like if you want to say the LSU game, you want to say the LSU game, LSU still sinks that out. I'm okay with that. But the South Florida game, inexcusable.
The thing about it though is like in a game that close, when you've already thrown 3 interceptions, even if you just take it out of DJ's hands and you're like, we feel running the ball is the best thing to do here, and you end up losing the game, it's still not as bad as 50 passes and 5 interceptions.
Yep.
And
I'm with you.
I can't shake that. I can't shake that mindset that it took Billy and that staff 4 games to figure this out. And actually, it took Billy 4 games because he's the offensive play caller. And when you choose to be the offensive play caller, you take the blame for the offense struggling. And if DJ's struggling like he was in the LSU game and he's not seeing it, he's not your only weapon. It's not like Michigan's offense where if it's not Bryce Underwood, it's nothing. You have great weapons. Use them. Like
I'm with you.
I don't understand. And it's part of the reason I picked Florida this week is because I thought, okay, it's been 4 games where you've trotted DJ out there and you've trotted DJ out there and you've made him throw the ball and you've made him throw the ball and it hadn't worked out. Are you going to finally be like, maybe we should give it to Jaden?
And
take a little bit of pressure off DJ.
Not only Jaden,
maybe play with a lead.
They handed it to Duke Clark 9 times as well. He was good in the carry. Yeah. In the carries he got, and carries. I mean, one thing that I think can't totes. Be
between Jaden Ball, Duke really Clark, and Vernell Brown, because they had Vernell Brown on like an end around. I don't remember what that run play was, but 37 carries.
Sure.
And you beat Texas. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here. Texas is not the number 9 team in the nation. Okay.
No, they're not.
I think anybody that watched Texas after the Ohio State game and the way they looked, they knew that. Okay. Because if Florida had played Texas's schedule, they'd be 3-1. They'd have been 3-1. They'd have probably lost to Ohio State, and they would have Texas has played Ohio State and 3 7-on-7 games, as far as I'm concerned, before they played Florida. They might as well have marched out there and played, and this no disrespect to these programs, but they played Ohio State and 3 of the Brave Little Toasters. And then they had to go on the road and play Florida. And it's like, oh, yeah, you're playing a team with a pulse.
Yeah.
Just like you played in week 1.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it pre this game because I didn't quite know how I felt, but I've kind of been leaning towards going out on Texas. Personally.
Sure.
I just, and it's not out totally, but this year, just kind of out on this year because I just don't like that Arch has regressed for whatever reason. And I feel like they've gotten worse around him. And that's part of the regression is I feel like they've gotten worse around Arch from what he looked like last year.
I mean, okay, so I did want to pose this question. Has Arch regressed? Has he regressed or more importantly, did Arch Manning play the worst team in the SEC, UTSA, and then when he was actually called upon to do something late in the year in a college football playoff setting, did he look like this? Because it's fine to say Arch has regressed, Arch is all this based on the preseason hype. Here's where we expected him to be. He's down here. Yeah. But did Arch come in with a ton of hype and better weapons last year? Because the weapons on Texas last year are tremendously better than what he's working with this year. Did he regress? Or is this Arch Manning, and we've unfairly put these expectations upon this kid to where we're expecting him to come out and absolutely throat punch teams like Florida and be able just to kind of cruise through games like this? I personally think it's the latter. I don't know if he's necessarily regressed so much as here's what happens when you say it's the same. I think it's the same story with Carson Beck last year. Here's what happens when you don't give a kid that needs weapons. He's not Bryce Young. Spoiler alert. He's not Jameis Winston. This is Arch Manning in year 2-ish of his development, but really year 1 of his development. Because this is the full
year. This is year 1. This is year 1. Last year, playing in garbage time, playing against – because that Mississippi State team last year was just like –
the worst.
Tough to call them a team. It's kind of like what UCLA – they're not as bad as UCLA is this year, but they weren't great.
Right.
To answer your question, I think it's a bit of both.
Okay.
I think it's a bit of both of now, again, I'm not a quarterback evaluator. I don't sit here and study quarterback mechanics, but I think it's a mix of the preseason expectations on him because media were hyping him up so much, mixed with the fact that they got worse around him.
Mm-hmm.
Because Matthew Golden's gone, Gunnar Helm's gone, Isaiah Bond's gone. The offensive line isn't as good. The offensive line today, props to Florida's defensive line. Buddy, they whipped ass for 4 quarters.
Sure.
I mean, whipped ass for 4 quarters. Props to Florida's defensive line. But I think they got worse. I think Texas got worse offensively. Not in scheme, but just in talent. Like it's just they're just not as dynamic and as good as they were last year.
Quick
I
note,
think that's shown up.
Tommy Castellanos just threw a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. So we are at 28-19 Miami at the current moment. 3:13 left in the fourth quarter. So maybe we were idiots for jumping on here early and trying to.
No, we needed to go live. We needed to go live and doubt Florida State a little bit just to give them some. Listen. You want to know what I was really doing? I was fueling my over. Okay.
Hey, there's life.
53.5, baby. 53
We're getting close.
There's no way. There's no way.
No, Florida State didn't get the onside kick. So this is a field goal for Miami no matter what.
And Florida State only has 2 timeouts. This is 1 first down and the game's over.
Sorry, Beck just threw a dangerous pass. But to get back to the I mean, the story is Arch, but I think the story really should be what you said. They gave the ball to Jaden Ball. They gave it to the backup running back, Duke Clark. And spoiler alert, or shocking, I know, when your best pass catcher comes back who hasn't played all year and you give him
Dallas
to
Wilson.
DJ Lagway,
Yeah,
it might look a little bit better. Like, and he
that's
was
true.
very good in this
That is
game.
true.
So
Yeah,
I
no,
don't think that needs to be said. That Dallas Wilson
yeah,
came back, had 118, 2 touchdowns, and it was like Lagway was like, oh, finally, dude, somebody that can catch the ball and run after the catch. Hell yeah, let's go.
yeah, yeah. Dallas Wilson is a stud, and he deserves a lot of credit in this game. But I still stand kind of behind what I was talking about, where I feel like the coaching, just the coach, like they put it together for the Texas game, but it shouldn't have taken them 4 games to figure it out.
Right, and their schedule
Like,
gets harder from here. So like,
yeah,
you win this game, and you're like, cool. Now we have an SEC win. We're 2-3, but next week we're at Texas A&M, who just got done thumping Mississippi State, which was who took Tennessee to the wire last week. And then after that, you have Mississippi State at home, and then you get Georgia on a neutral site. You go to Kentucky, so you get another little, like, hopefully that's at Kentucky, though. So the Kroger curse, you never know with Florida and Georgia especially. And then you finish with Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Florida State. So for me, if you think Billy Napier saved his job today, just wait until he has to go through Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Florida State. And if he gets through those 3 games and they go 3-0, then sure, he saved his job. I think that's fair to say. But they have to get to 8-4 with a 2-3 start. So it's an uphill battle for Florida, and I hope Lagway keeps getting healthier. But
I do too, because this team, the way they look today is the way that I think a lot of people expected them to look coming into the year, and why a lot of people had them as like a dark horse SEC team, potential like at-large playoff team at like 9-3 or something like that. But I don't know if it's there from Billy, because you put it together today, but precedent has told me that, and that's precedent just from this year, that you're not going to stick with it.
Yep.
And I'm kind of on the until I see you stick with it. And Jaden Ball, like, this offense runs through Jaden Ball, because I think it should, because he's really, really good. I mean, I can't discount the fact that he might have DJ go out there and throw 45 passes next week against Texas.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it's definitely a lesson that Billy Napier could draw from this game. Like, oh, we looked better in the past game. Let's open the playbook up and let DJ rip it.
Yeah, and you played with a lead.
Yeah,
you played with a lead the whole game. Like, I don't think that can be overstated. So.
No, you're right. You're right. You're right to have the fear, but I think we've covered this game as much as it needs to be covered. I don't think I don't think you can take anything away from this from either side. Really, more if you were to take something, it would be on the Texas side for me. Of like, oh no, oh boy, like we're not at all what we thought we would be. And before the year, I had Texas at 8-4. I mean, when we did our SEC over under pod, I was like, look, guys, I just think this is. I just think it's ridiculous to go ahead and crown this Texas team when we don't know what this is going to look like. There's so many unanswered questions, and boy, are there. And there are unanswered questions not only at the quarterback spot, but all over the field.
Yeah,
all over the field.
And I think they're a lot closer to 8-4 than they are to like 10-2.
Sure.
And what's funny is last thing on the game is I thought it was funny they were talking about like defensive statistics, because I also was one of those people that coming into the year I thought this Texas defense was going to be really good, and they have some pieces. Colin Simmons is a freak. Anthony Hill Jr. is a freak. Michael Taft's really like they're good, but I thought it was funny they were throwing out stats about like run defense and stuff like that, and I was like, guys, they played Ohio State in the opening game of the year, so the teams are still trying to figure out who they are.
That's it.
And then they played 3 toasters. So like I don't want to hear about stats of the Texas defense or the Texas offense, because they played 3 just who shall not be named teams. And none of those statistics showed up today in the swamp.
No love for UTEP or Sam Houston State, huh? Wow.
I mean,
this guy hates the G5. He's not.
I think Sam Houston State is 0-5 after losing to New Mexico on Friday night. So, like, no disrespect to them. but
That game
I'm
was on
not.
Thursday. They played that game on Thursday.
Yeah, Thursday. Sorry. Yeah, Texas should beat them by 100. So
Sure.
yeah. But sorry,
All
I don't
right.
want to sit
Well,
here and beat a dead horse. So
yeah. No, let's get to Virginia Louisville. A game that I'm going to call, because one of our core four games for me always gets pushed to highlight watch. So that's what that was this game this week.
yep.
I didn't get to this one live, but what I did see of this game is Virginia going to the ACC championship. Ooh, should we start the narrative? I don't know. I don't know if we should or not, because Virginia offensively in this game was not very good, and
no,
they weren't great, and they capitalized huge on Louisville's mistakes. And that's the story. That if you're Louisville, you have to be kicking yourself, because you could be tied for the lead in the ACC here. You could have knocked off a top 25 opponent in Virginia. You were at home and you lost a fumble, and Miller Moss threw one directly to the defense, and you completely outgained Virginia. You were the better team, in my opinion, here. I don't know. I'm on the fence for if this Virginia team is actually any good, but that's kind of the ACC this year. And then you look at Virginia's schedule versus Washington State, at North Carolina. I'll go ahead and give them those two. They go to Cal, which I think is the biggest tripping point in the next 3 weeks, because you're going to the West Coast. It's a weird game.
What time is that game? Does it say?
It's TBD right now,
because that feels like it's going to be slid to like the 10:30 slot.
Right, which Cal is right now. Yeah, they're playing Duke right now. And they're beating
right now. Yeah, which is I think is a huge advantage for, like, we've talked about the body clock and stuff. I think the body clock is really a huge factor on what late night East Coast teams going west. So like 10:30 Eastern body clock time, and noon kickoffs for West Coast teams,
like USC Illinois last week. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. But they got Wake Forest the week after that, which Wake Forest beat Virginia Tech today. I don't think they're very good at home. I expect Virginia to win that game. They go to Duke, who has been kind of like trick or treat Tony this year. You don't know what you're going to get from them. Yeah. And then they finish with at home versus Virginia Tech. Dude, so winnable. They're 5-1 right now.
Head coach.
Right. And they lost to Wake Forest today. So winnable and so gettable. I think if they get past Cal, this is a Virginia team that you're like, okay, it's time to take you serious. In the ACC championship versus Miami, I think you're going to get laid out, because I expect Miami to be the other team. I expect Miami to be the other team there. But for Virginia, who has their cross-state rival, and you hear when Virginia Tech fired their coach, when they fired Brent Pry, you hear Virginia Tech's such a great job. Like, oh my goodness, if somebody could just turn that team around. If you're Virginia, you're like, this is best case scenario. Our main rival in recruiting now is without a head coach. You go steal as many recruits as you can this year. You capitalize on this hard, and maybe you take the state for a few years. Now, this is Virginia. This is a lower Power 4 program. So sustained success is going to be a little difficult. But you do as much as you can, and you just have to avoid the dumb loss, which is, in my opinion, like, if they lose to Cal, I won't be shocked. But if you avoid the Wake Forest Duke combination of dumb losses that could be on your schedule, I think you're in business.
Yeah, I think I like how you highlighted the trip to Cal there, because I think that's really I think that's really a spot, because they're back-to-back road trips to at North Carolina and at Cal, and I don't, looking at their schedule, it doesn't say if they get a bye between those games. October 25th.
I can pull it up. We'll go to full schedule.
November 1st. They do not get a bye between those games. They do not get a bye between those two teams. So that Cal game, like, if Virginia loses a game over the next 3 or 4 matchups, I could see that Cal game being the one, because it's back-to-back road trips, and it's their third game in a row, because they'll play Washington State, North Carolina, and then at Cal. I'm kind of with you. I don't know. I will say, from a Virginia standpoint, it does feel kind of positive that they didn't play this well offensively. I mean, Chandler Morris was 19 of 31, 4.8 yards on average, and they still found a way to win.
Check down Charlie.
Yeah. In a tough road environment with Louisville, you still managed to win. I know your defense kind of carried the day, but that's got to feel good. Now, I don't feel good about this team having a chance to beat Miami.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm with you.
That's
I
not
think
really.
they can compete with the Florida States of the world and the other ACC opponents. I'd even feel good about them versus Georgia Tech, not to win, but to
Yeah,
make it a game. But
yeah, for sure.
yeah, I'm with you. And I think if you're done with this game, this is a great segue to talk into something that we wanted to bring up throughout the show that kind of popped up today on my radar. Clemson's not dead. They're not dead.
Nope.
They're
Well,
they're two
hang
and
on now.
three. Okay, again, they're not dead, which means that they have some life. And I'm not going to base it all on the North Carolina win, because North Carolina, we talked about UCLA, we've talked about these lower Power 4 teams. North Carolina is the worst team in Power 4 college football, and I feel, and you notice I said team, it's because they are a team. They haven't fired their coach. They haven't had a bunch of players transfer. The Belichick thing's a little weird. You bring in a bunch of different recruits, but this is North Carolina's awful, but Clemson.
North Carolina's they are. It's. I
Yes,
mean,
sorry, Chase. Sorry, Chase Green, who's on the podcast
he
with
knows.
us.
Dude, he knows.
Yeah, he knows.
He
But
knows.
here's the biggest thing for me with Clemson: at Boston College versus SMU versus Duke versus Florida State. Huge, so big. Like the fact that you get that one at home. You have to go to Louisville, which is a night game. It's already scheduled out on November 14th. They get Furman before they have to go to South Carolina, which I think early in the season we would have said, "Oh boy, South Carolina." Well, you don't feel that way about them right now. You have no idea what you're going to get from South Carolina. Now, South Carolina historically trends up towards the end of the year, but you don't know. You have no idea right now. So with two ACC losses. And I've got the ACC standings right in front of me here. Two ACC losses. And right now, the conference leaders are, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Duke, which, like, if you trust those teams, great. But those are the only unbeatens left. And Miami will be getting on the board here momentarily, I believe, despite Tommy Cassiano's best efforts. Miami's the only shoe in there. You get some ACC weirdness, some infighting where they're just knocking each other out, kind of allure to the old Pac-12. If Clemson just buckles down, locks in for the rest of their schedule, they're not out of it. And I'm here to say, I don't know how you feel, but they're not dead.
You know what else might not be dead?
The over, yeah.
TCU minus 13 and a half, baby.
I'm sorry. I thought we were on the Miami game.
Sorry. No. Sorry. TCU just scored a touchdown. Maybe, potentially, touchdown with 19 seconds left. They're up 34-21. They have to make the extra point. If he caught this, I don't know if Eric McAllister actually caught this. He looks like he's possession, foot down. That's a touchdown. Sorry, total side tangent for my financial investment. But sorry, I'm watching the extra point here. And we're up by 14. We are up by 14, baby. Anyways, no, dude, the ACC, man, like Clemson's still alive because the rest of the ACC is just so bad outside of Miami. The rest of the ACC is so bad. And I wouldn't say Clemson was still alive had Florida State not lost to Virginia, because I would think, Florida State would still be in the running for that. But that loss to Virginia and now having a loss to Miami, they're about to start 0-2 in conference play.
Sure.
So that opens the door for Clemson. And I think part of that is just because Clemson has such a talent gap, minus Miami, against the rest of the ACC, that Virginia, Georgia Tech, Duke, Cal, these teams like that, I feel like at any point in time on any random weekend, they could just lose a conference game for whatever reason.
Florida State's not dead. Sorry, keep going.
Well, the over's not dead.
Not dead, buddy.
Dude, if both of these hit in the last, like, hang on, let me not get ahead of myself.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're talking about games, Drew. We're not live gambling.
I know.
We're talking about games. But yeah, Miami to me is the I kind of lost the point I was on there. Oh no. Okay, it looked like Colorado was going to run the kickback, but they didn't. Anyways, there's still a chance they get a last second Hail Mary. Miami is the only team in the ACC that feels like they're a shoe in to me because their offensive line and defensive line play is so good.
Yeah.
Like they're the only team that I feel like just with how punishing and physical they are, they could roll out their like B- effort and beat most of these teams in the
most of the ACC. Agreed. Yeah. I'm with you.
Versus like looking at Virginia, looking at Georgia Tech and Duke and Cal, who are all undefeated in conference play right now. I know Duke and Cal are playing, so one of those is going to take an L. If any of those teams roll out like a minus performance, then it's just over.
Sure.
You know, they'll lose. They could lose any random weekend. So, that obviously opens the door for Clemson to get back in. It's kind of like what they did last year. They backdoored their way into the ACC title game. Now, I don't think they'll do that this year because it feels like with Clemson, they have way too many issues to where they're not going to be able to just kind of run the table.
Just super glue it together. Like you see good teams like this. Occasionally, it's just like we have better talent, we have a better infrastructure. But I'm with you. Yeah. This year has felt just like, man, what has happened? Where is the message getting messed up here? Because there's something going on. And Cade Klubnik was lucky that he was playing North Carolina today because he underthrew a few balls, even balls that were caught for touchdowns. I was like, oh my gosh, that is a terrible throw. But Clemson's not dead. I think that's as much as I want to go into it because it might get a little rocky, as you've stated. So, yeah, man. I think
the ACC. I know people talk about the Big 12 being wide open, and you know if you take Miami out because it feels like Miami is kind of a shoe in. The ACC is really wide open.
Yeah.
Now with Florida State having the second loss, so
yeah, and I think that's a great segue into our last game, last Core 4 game, Miami, Florida State. We've already been over these teams quite a bit, just in the natural flow of the show. But we're doing great. We're at 47 minutes. We promised to get you out of here under an hour 10. So, but I mean, listen, what you said to me offline is absolutely correct. Miami has the best combined front 5 and front 4 in college football, and they are just riding it hard. Like they will go full pause there, but they are just riding that success hard. Like it is.
Yeah.
It is. Hey, let's go. That's my buddy. That's Jarrett. Just comment in the live chat if you want to throw that on the screen. We can. Yeah, we can. I'll answer that quickly.
We can hop back into that. Yeah. Let's cover the last Core 4 game, and then we'll open up just kind of for whatever.
Yeah. Miami is absolutely dominant on both sides of the ball in the trenches. It's why they won this Florida State game. You were absolutely correct in saying that Tommy Castellanos ripped them apart in the first drive on this game, and then Miami was like, "All right, we're just going to adjust. You're not going to do that anymore." So
yeah, he had most of the success in that first drive, and I think that's Kirk pointed it out on the broadcast that Miami was playing a lot of man-to-man, and when you're playing a mobile quarterback like this, you're playing a team that runs this style of offense like Gus Malzahn does. Man-to-man can really screw you over because DBs are just going to turn their back to the quarterback, and it leaves these huge rushing lanes. But this game kind of went like, to talk about the preview, this game kind of went like I thought. And Florida State wasn't able to dictate the pace of the game and play their way. They were kind of forced to play the way Miami wanted them to. And it kind of felt like watching the Virginia game. Florida State, it seems like they have some turnover problems that have popped up in these last 2 games. And that's not good when you play the style of offense that Florida State wants to play, because if you're having to play in a hole, it can get really, really hairy. It's a team that really plays comfortable playing with a lead. It's a team that feels like they do best when they can dictate the pace of the game and control the ball. They kind of feel like Vanderbilt to me. And I don't mean that as like a shot, but like that, just the style of offense they want to play, the time and possession game, a lot of motion shifts, things like that with Thomas Castellanos. And that stuff just didn't work. And I think a lot of that goes into the credit of how good this Miami team is on the defensive line, because there were times where they would do motions and stuff, and just the pure athletic ability from Miami's defensive line would just
Yep.
mitigate
Story of the
all
game.
of that. I think it also helped, something we pointed out in the preview was that having Carson Beck, a lot of the shit he caught last year for how he played, he's played a lot of football and he's been in a lot of hostile environments. So you've got to feel good if you're Shannon Dawson. You go in and you have a guy that's just comfortable doing that, operating in a place where it's loud and the crowd's against you and knowing how to set up a silent cadence. And I think that shined tonight was some of his veteran presence. So Miami is the clear favorite in the ACC because I don't think anybody in the conference can match them on the line of scrimmage. I don't think there's many teams in college football, let alone the ACC,
Great point,
that can match them on the line of scrimmage. So as long as they don't crystal ball their way out of this, and I say that because they have. They did it last year. Now that defense was really bad.
That's the point. Is like Cristobal has never had this at his disposal, and I think I don't want to say this and then they turn around and lose to Virginia Tech or whoever, but like I think that the raw talent and the units that they do have access to will kind of cover up a lot of the issues that have been with Mario Cristobal throughout his entire career. So I think Miami, I think we're right to call them kind of a shoo-in for the ACC. And I mean, dude, Malachi Toney is a star, and he is quickly becoming one of the more dangerous pass catchers in college football. And then you add to that, they've got CJ Daniels as a second option, and it's just it's death by 1,000 cuts. They can't really run the ball. It's kind of like only when you need to type thing for Miami, which concerns me for later in the year. Like they can run the ball. Like, don't get me wrong, they can do it when need be, but it's not one of these things where Miami is going to go out and absolutely dominate you against a good power four opponent. Now against lesser power four opponents, they're going to be fine. Like you're right. Their offensive line, they're going to be good, but I think it's more of just a credit to Miami for winning this game in Tallahassee, a place that's really hard to win historically, than it is like, oh man, Tommy Castellanos in Florida State, 3 turnovers. So
and if you're Miami, you didn't play the cleanest game either. I mean, you had 12 penalties. Yeah. So like in a rivalry game like that, you take the win. You take the win. You get out of Tallahassee. You're 1-0 in the ACC. And I'm with you. I don't think they really have to worry about them running the ball. It kind of feels like it's not going to be a problem until you get to like a playoff matchup against somebody. And Malachi Toney, by the way, we had talked about it several times in the offseason. And coming into the season, we were like, what's going to be the Ryan Williams is 17? And I was like, it's going to be the Ole Miss quarterback. It's going to be Austin Simmons. Well, then he got hurt and gets totally replaced by Trinidad Chambliss. It's Malachi Toney.
Yep.
Because every Miami game I have watched on the broadcast, they've pointed out he reclassified. He should be a senior in high school.
That's right. Okay. Yep. We got you.
I've heard it. I get it. He should be playing high school football. You know what? He's not. So he's doing really well in college football. We've established this. That is your 2025 Ryan Williams is 17 is Malachi Toney reclassified, and he should be a senior playing high school football right now. I don't mean that to take a shot at Malachi Toney because it's not. He's incredible and he deserves hype and praise. But I think you can kind of just be like, hey, he's really good at football. Like you don't have to keep harping on the fact that he's like reclassified senior.
There's a reason he reclassed. Maybe he is really good.
I mean, from what you've seen from him, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense. This dude's a baller. This dude's just a baller.
Sure.
But I mean, I don't want to. I got nothing else for Florida State. Miami. Game kind of went like I thought it was going to. So you want to kind of open it up, talk a little bit about the entire board, and get to Jared's question.
Yeah, let's get to that first. Because I actually do have some thoughts on that. So Jared has laid out the rest of Vanderbilt's schedule, which is Missouri, LSU, Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee. So here's what I think. This is the best Vanderbilt team that I've watched since I've been alive. Even the Franklin years, this team is far superior from a 1 through 22 and the depth perspective. Yeah, they're good. But last year, I think Vanderbilt had the added advantage of kind of sneaking up on people. Like, oh, it's Vanderbilt. They were 2-10 in 2022, or they lost to ETSU in the COVID year. Like that's who. And I think last year kind of shocked some people. Well, even though they lose in Tuscaloosa today, you see Vanderbilt and you're like, oh, but they gave Alabama a game. This wasn't Alabama dominates, 30-14. This was Alabama scrapped and clawed, and they fought for every single yard that they got in this game. And that's going to hurt them. But if you're asking me if they think they can do it, they have a shot at the playoffs. Absolutely. They're too talented. I know Pavia wasn't very good today. I'm fully tuned into that, but they have one of the best quarterbacks left in college football, even though he is 30 years old.
Well, I mean, dude, part of quarterbacking, especially in college, is playing in the system you're in.
Sure.
And he does that extremely well.
Absolutely.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, that's a great point. And I think when you look at the schedule, I'll give them Kentucky. That's really the only one that I'm comfortable with saying like they're going to win, because Auburn in spurts this year has looked decent. They've looked good and they've looked able to beat you, but that one's at home. Okay. Mm-hmm. And then you see Missouri, they're undefeated, but I don't really know what Missouri is as a full unit yet, because they've just played a kind of a crappy schedule, and they played South Carolina, both of them, Missouri and Vanderbilt, and Lenore Sellers was out of the Vanderbilt game, and Missouri played South Carolina close. It was at Missouri. So I think that they'll beat Missouri. LSU, we still really don't know what LSU is, because there's so much inconsistency from the offensive side of the ball. They may get into a situation there where LSU is just a little bit more talented than them, and that kind of carries the day. And then Texas has been inconsistent and bad, and they suffered a tough loss at Florida. So yes, if you're asking me if Vanderbilt has a chance as they sit at 5-1 headed into a bye week, they absolutely have a chance at the playoffs. They're going to have to play their best football week in and week out, because every team is prepared for them now. This is not a shock to anybody. So that's my take on it. I still have all confidence in the Doors to get where they want to go, but they're going to have to come ready. And Diego Pavia can't play like that again, because of the teams left on their schedule. He can probably play like that against Kentucky, and they might be fine. And
maybe Auburn, depending on what Auburn looks like, because that's a late game. Like if Auburn's checked out at that point, like say Auburn loses to Georgia, they lose a couple more games, and they're kind of, because that's like, I think that's the second weekend in November is when that game will take place. So if it depends on what version of Auburn we get.
Sure. And then I haven't even touched on that. Mm-hmm. They've got to go to Knoxville. Like that is a completely different game than playing that game in Nashville at First Bank Stadium. They got to go to Knoxville with a Tennessee team that has, for what the product that they put out this year, the one thing that I can confidently say is that this Tennessee team can move the ball at will against just about anybody. And that's not good when the weakness in your team is your secondary. And I don't know who on Vanderbilt's going to guard Chris Brazzell, because in the Alabama game, Vanderbilt set in a cover 2 and they got destroyed. Simpson picked them apart. And I think it's going to be a lot of the same with Joey Aguilar. So although Vanderbilt's playoff chances went down today, I think it was sitting at 43 pregame. I'm going to guess it's probably going to go to like 19 to 25% range when they release the rankings. Somewhere in there. It may go a little lower just because it is Vanderbilt. I'm worried, but I also know from what I've watched this year, this team has just as good a chance as anybody left on their schedule.
Yeah. Well, I think you made a good point there. Like, and we talked about it when we recapped the game, but like for them to come out and get Alabama's full shot, because there was no setup like there was last year where you're on the road, you come off this huge win, nobody expects Vanderbilt. Game day was there. You knew what this was. Everyone was expecting this. And like you said, that garbage time touchdown for Alabama is really what kind of puts this as like it was 30-14. No, it was not. This was a 9-point game for most of the game. As far as their playoff chance, obviously they still have a playoff chance at 5-1. Any team that's 5-1, the SEC still with games left, I think has a shot at the playoff. I don't know how great that shot is, but I will say this. With the style of offense that Vanderbilt runs and the way that they want to play games, looking at LSU and looking at Texas, where these teams have been kind of inconsistent on offense and they can have a tendency to kind of sputter a little bit, that feels like a horrible matchup for Bama. Not for Bama, for Vandy. Because I think one of the things that gave Bama an advantage, and one of the things that really helped, I think, Alabama in this game, is their ability to stay on schedule and string together long drives. Like we saw that in the Georgia game, and we saw that again today. I don't know how consistent I'll get LSU and Texas, specifically those two teams, stringing together long drives. And so if I'm an LSU fan or if I'm a Texas fan, looking at this Vandy game, and I know they're a long way off the Texas game specifically, but if I'm an LSU fan, I'm worried about our offensive inconsistencies. You could play into Vandy's strategy of we're going to hold the ball.
Sure.
And the way that we run offense and what we want to do can kind of mitigate a little bit of the talent disparity, because don't get me wrong, that Alabama defense is really good. The LSU defense that you're about to play is just as good, if not slightly better. So,
yeah,
if the LSU offense sputters, then you could see Vandy do what they did today and kind of take a lead and play with a lead, or do what they did last year. Take a lead and play with a lead and just kind of not give you enough chances to get your offense rolling and get comfortable, and you end up losing.
Yep. I agree with you.
That's how it happens.
I'm there with you.
Texas and LSU specifically. And again, Auburn, I could see them winning those games because of that. So
yeah. And we have another live comment here from our boy Greg. Texas is not very good. Greg, we did go over that in the early show. We'll retread it real quick. I think personally, both of us are very worried about Texas.
Yes.
You're right. The offensive line didn't give Arch time, and kind of what we went over early in the show is like Arch needs time, and he needs weapons, and he needs all of these things, because he's not a figure it out. Just Arch will roll the ball out there, and we'll, because we have you, we'll win the game. Arch Manning needs a lot of these things. I'm very concerned because it's not like they went out there and they played Alabama today. They played Florida, who's 2-3 and is not very well coached. And I get it. We've already been over that.
It's
3, but
Greg, what we kind of chalked it up to a little bit of the recap, and Drew hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, the Texas offensive line got whipped today. Like they just got straight up whipped for 4 quarters. But what we chalked it up to was if Florida was able to do this all along, then what they did in those first 3 games, because I'm not going to give you any credit for beating Long Island. I'm not. I mean, you show half the nation LIU on the schedule, nobody's going to know that's Long Island University. So I'm not going to give you credit for that, Billy. No. But the other 3 games against Miami, LSU, and South Florida were just straight up coaching malpractice. Because just refusing to hand Jaden Ball the ball outside of the Miami game, I think gives you a chance to win the LSU game, and you win the USF game, because Jaden Ball was already balling out on the first drive. They marched down the field, instant touchdown. And then for whatever reason, they're just like, let's march DJ back out there, make him throw it. I'm endlessly and I said it the whole time I was watching this game. I was like, the success that Florida's having makes me endlessly frustrated with Billy Napier. I don't understand why it took us 4 games to figure this out. So great for Florida. Good job on getting the win on Texas, but you should not be 2-3. You should.
Sure.
You at worst you should be 3-2.
Yep.
Probably 4-1 with a loss to Miami, because Miami is just better than you on the offensive line and the defensive line. So
you want to let's see. So we've covered our core 4. We, of course, have to give out our Saturday Stud Award, as we've decided to call it. Quickly running through a little bit of the rest of the board.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Tech was great today on the road versus Houston. Baron Morton didn't miss a beat jumping back in with them. They should be much higher ranked than 11th. They're actually a really, really good team. I expect them to be in the 7 or 8 range with Texas falling out. And then Alabama will jump a little bit in front of them. Any thoughts on that? Any thoughts on that one? Any big thoughts? I didn't really watch it.
On Texas Tech?
Yeah, I didn't really catch that one. I'm going to be honest. I scoreboard watched, so I don't have a ton of thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I didn't get to catch as much of the game as I was like because I was putting more attention to Florida State and Miami. But I mean, it's kind of the things that we already knew. Baron Morton's smart with the football. The defense is legitimate. They should be far and away the Big 12 title favorite, especially after Iowa State went down today.
Sure.
And I think they'll be able to do I think they'll be able to do whatever they want against most of these Big 12 opponents.
I'm with you. Speaking of the Big 12, Baylor, a thriller versus Kansas State. Baylor tried to give this game away 15 times. Kansas State has a touchdown called back because some guy's helmet got ripped off, and it was they still ended up scoring. Baylor and Sawyer Robertson absolutely escaped with this one. They keep their Big 12 title hopes alive in my mind here. But if you look at it, I am unsure who would be. I mean, to me, it's Baylor, TCU, Texas Tech, and Cincinnati. Oh, well, actually, there's more than I thought. Okay, sorry. The whole Big 12 can win.
The Big 12 is still – the whole Big 12 is still alive. Yeah, no, we still have too much football. I would be fine if somebody was like, hey, I'm going to pencil in Texas Tech, and I'm going to be like, who are they playing? And if they gave me like 7 different teams, I'd be fine with it. So, yeah.
Attaboy, Matthew.
Strong. They did, Matt. They did. And
yeah,
that's something we kind of highlighted was I think you got to come prepared to play Vandy. And I'm really glad Georgia doesn't play Vandy this year. I'm really glad Georgia doesn't play Vandy this year. But if you want to talk about like small highlights, not Saturday studs, because I know we're going to give away our Saturday stud stickers. I mean, I got laughed in my face when I said Illinois minus 9.5. And look at the Fighting Illini, baby. A 27-point second quarter, and we down Purdue to take the cannon. That's what I'm talking about, gentlemen.
I didn't know you were on the roster.
It's not we. Sorry, it's not we, because I will not forgive them for the Indiana. I don't know what happened. Maybe they just didn't get off the bus against Indiana. Maybe they were just like, maybe they got lost in like the Bermuda Triangle, and some other group of people showed up in Illinois uniforms and played Indiana that day. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Confusing. Last thing from the chat here before I think we give out Saturday stud sticker. What would y'all think if Neon Deion, obviously referring to Coach Deion Sanders, is the next head coach at Arkansas? I hate that.
I hate it. I hate everything about that.
I hate it. But I also recognize the absolute raucous fun that it would be to have Deion Sanders in the SEC. So if Arkansas wants to invest in that and they want to take on the Deion Sanders experience that from what we've seen it's been, by all means, do it, Arkansas. You're not going to win anything anyways, because if you're putting Shane Beamer at the helm, if that's really your next move, or you're putting if you're going to take Tulane's coach, whose name is escaping me,
John Summerall.
If you're going to take him, I still don't think that moves the needle for me. So if your goal is to get clicks, likes, NIL money, a lot of attention on your program, sure, Neon Deion all the way, Coach Prime effect. But yeah, I hate it. I hate it from an actual coaching perspective. So
yeah, no, from a coaching hire, I think it's a bad move. I think it's a horrible hire. To go from Sam Pittman, I think you would end up in the same cycle. Because I haven't seen anything. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not meaning to sit here and take shots at Deion, because I think he'll get it figured out, because he's only been a head coach for a few years. But I got to see something from Deion when he doesn't have a Heisman Trophy winner, like generational player in Travis Hunter and Shador. Like, I got to see more consistent year-over-year success for Deion before I'm like, hey, come to the SEC and coach one of the lower end programs that's going to invest more in basketball because they hired Calipari. So yeah, I would, if I'm Deion, I wouldn't take that job. If I'm an Arkansas fan, I would not like that hire personally. So Petrino would be more fun. I'm with Matt. Yeah. I think Bobby Petrino, I think it's Bobby Petrino's job to lose.
I agree with you.
God, dude.
Yeah. Mike Gundy's conference, SEC,
Mike Gundy.
SEC edition. Yeah.
No, just to hear him at the end of a game when they get a win, go like have to say "woo pig." Just that. Give me that.
Be fun.
Give me that. Mike Gundy, woo pig. That just sounds. Yeah. That talk me up for that. But no, I think Arkansas is going to look for someone. I think they're going to end up ultimately hiring Bobby Petrino. And people are going to be like, oh, this was a coup from the start. Like the moment Bobby Petrino got hired, he was plotting Sam Pittman's downfall so he could get this job back. So just keep him away from young women and motorcycles.
Sure. That's good point. Great point. Yeah. The essentials. All right. I think we're at an hour 10. Let's give out. We'll do 2 apiece Saturday stud stickers. You want me to go first?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. My first Saturday stud sticker is going to go to Mason Heinschel, I believe is how you pronounce that, of the Pitt Panthers. The 18-year-old true freshman quarterback was slated, I think, like 3 hours before this game. They made the decision to bench Eli Holstein. And boy, was that a good decision because they whipped Boston College 48-7. Henschel looked like a godsend for this Pitt offense. Looked like they had actual life. Looked like they could move the ball. Looked like they could throw the ball down the field. I know, shocking for a Pitt Panthers product. But 323, 4 touchdowns, had 28 yards on the ground. Some of that gets pulled back from sacks because it is college football, and they take quarterback rushing yards away for sacks, which I hate. Yeah. But Henschel's going to be my first one. Talk about a true freshman stepping up. We see a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of grad transfers this year struggling. And here's a kid who's just come from honors algebra 3 months ago, and he steps in the role and does well. So
yeah. All right, nice. Well, I'm gonna go down south to the swamp, man. My Saturday stud sticker goes to Dallas Wilson. My first one goes to Dallas Wilson. 6 receptions, 111 yards, 2 touchdowns. If you didn't see the absolute pirouette he did down the sideline to stay in bounds and rush in for a touchdown, I don't know how, the level of body control, the level of just boundary knowledge and understanding where your spatial awareness is just insane. To be able to, number one, come down with that catch, then have the Texas defender draped all over you, swing you around, and you're just the whole time staying in bounds, tiptoeing. And then you regain your balance, hit full sprint, and make to the end zone. Dude, that's incredible. Yep. What a play. Play. Dallas Wilson is going to be a problem. And he gets my my first Saturday stud sticker. Do you want me to follow up and snake, or you just want to go?
Snake draft. Snake draft. How we do it. Yes, sir.
My second one, man. My second one goes to someone that a lot of people on this podcast are very familiar with, and it is none other than Nico Iamaleava, dude. And the UCLA Bruins absolutely crushing Penn State's hopes and dreams. 17-24, 166 yards passing. That's not the fun part. 16 carries, 128 yards. I think that pretty much just speaks for itself. I don't know where Penn State goes from here. We talked about it when we opened the show because that's the first place we went because it was just such an egregious loss. But Nico balled out today, man. Nico absolutely balled out today. So I'm giving him my second Saturday stud sticker. That he's sharing that with the rest of the UCLA team and Jerry Neuheisel. What a win. What an absolute win in the Rose Bowl.
Agreed.
With all 3,000 UCLA fans there in the stands. So.
Yeah, spot on. Couldn't said it better myself. He was actually going to be mine, so I got to pivot real quick.
Sorry,
no, you're good. You're good. So my Saturday stud sticker, it can be a player, but we've also established in the rules that we made up for ourselves that it can be a team or a unit in this case. So mine's going to go to the Notre Dame defense. 4 interceptions today versus Boise State in a game where their offense was okay. Jeremiah Love was still good. They weren't Notre Dame wasn't great today versus Boise State, but 4 picks, 4 interceptions coming from Leonard Moore, Tay Johnson, and Luke Talich. When you get 4 interceptions, you're going to win the ball game 99% of the time. And props to Notre Dame. They obviously started out, 2 losses, not great. They've got a battle in front of them, but they keep doing that. They're going to be all right.
Yep.
So that's all I've got. I think we can close it out there, dude. Everybody that tuned in the night chat today, thanks for tuning in. We love doing this. This is so much fun to recap a college football Saturday. Thanks to our live chat viewers, Jarrett, Greg, and Matthew this time around, and the Instagram guy, whatever his name was.
Oh yeah. Let me scroll back up. Shout out Mike. who asked the question that's going to be on a lot of people's minds is if Napier saved his job, and I'm going to say no.
Yeah, we're still on the no. We're still on the no train. We're still out on Napier. But again, thank you guys for tuning in. I told you we get you out of here under an hour 15, and that looks like if I shut up, we will. So, Night Chat, we love you. Chat It Up Sports.
Follow Chat It Up Sports. Subscribe on YouTube. We'll see you on Tuesday.